Today's matchup, AT Rolster, Kingzone DragonX, beginning of the end. 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Spring Split.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK Spring 2018. Yes, it is an hour after schedule that we're going to be starting this one off, but it was well and truly worth the wait. Kingzone versus KT, top of the table clash. Papa, could it get any better than this?
It can't get any better, Atlas. This is the battle to be the best team in the world. If anyone disagrees, slap them, tell them Papa sent you. This is going to be an amazing series between two teams on a huge run of form, both of them on 5-set winning streaks. The KT fans, they're a little bit shaky. They did have that very shaky series against Rox Tigers just a few days ago, but they can still get themselves up for a big match. This is the definition of a big match, a replay of the Kesper Cup final. I just want to get it started.
Yeah, KT being able to turn around that series was actually a great thing, though, because sometimes momentum has been a problem for them, but let's have a look at it right at the tippy top. +6 for both FLICKR Freaks and KT Rolster, but remember, FLICKR Freaks, one extra match has been played, so KT can solidify themselves as #1 or go down and be even with the FLICKR Freaks, but will most likely fall behind as they will lose that added bonus of points.
Yeah, I mean, you could actually tumble all the way to 5th here, if or 4th, I should say. How do places work? You can fall below a FLICKR and KSV with a 2-0 loss if you're KT Rolster, which will put you in 4th.
The top 4 are actually quite solidified at the moment, with a couple of extra match wins available to them. It feels like the top 4 is sort of the prime position for all of our LCK teams, but these guys are certainly at the very top of that. One of them going to be sole owner of #1. We're going to start with KT. On the blue side, it's going to be exactly the team that you know and love. I know Rush fans want to see him, but
even the Rush
still
fans,
in the jungle.
Even the Rush fans didn't think he'd be playing today against the team of Kingzone DragonX. They need to be at full strength. They cannot take any risks. If you're not running Rush before Kingzone, you don't run him first time into essentially the best team in the world. KT Rolster, they looked past the Rox Tigers a little bit. They didn't fall down in match score, but they were behind in 2 out of the 3 games in a way they wouldn't have imagined. So KT do come in underdogs, even with the unquestioned talent, able to 3-2 Kingzone DragonX in the Kesper Cup final. I think everyone wants to see the team on the red side once more. Kingzone DragonX Atlas looking strong.
Yeah, and we are going to go over their side now. Of course, there's going to be no changes, no rascals on the top side of the map. No, not this time. It's Khan. We're going in with full strength. Peanut, BDD, Prey, and Gorilla. 3 parts Rox Tigers seems to be the magic ratio for making a team look like the best in the world.
It's just a dream match. You think about it and you say, all right, who's the best player on the Rift?
Gorilla's got a haircut. Look at him.
He looks very dapper. Who's the best player on the Rift today? Who's the worst player on the Rift today? These questions are so imprecise. There are so many superstars, seminal players in every position, and no one in more form than the man who makes the Khan champ a thing. Khan has been an ultra star this season, somehow shining even brighter than he did in 2017. This is the dream match. 10 wins in a row for Kingzone DragonX. Not quite that level of perfection, but still 5 match wins in a row for KT Rolster. This is the one you can't miss. It used to be the Telecom War. Now it's KT Rolster versus Kingzone DragonX.
And strength of schedule is something that we should be talking about here, but it's largely very similar between these two. Because you might say that, you know, being able to pick up the win over a FLICKR is a huge deal for Kingzone. The loss to KSV with Rascal on the top side of the map, no Khan there as well, looked like a different Kingzone.
This roster with Khan has dropped 0 games. They don't have a difference between blue and red. We have to find something new there, obscuring the Pentagon there. Coming through from KT Rolster, very rude. KT living in their shadow with a lot of fans as well. I went around yesterday at the Gangnam Stadium. I've talked to everyone. There's only one view. Everyone says Kingzone win. And the fans will have something to say. Lots of stars on both sides. But how can you argue with what Kingzone have shown? There's no counter argument when Khan runs. They win. KT Rolster, I think, have more of a shot than most people. But even if you pressed me, how could you predict KT Rolster outside of theory? Because practice, oh baby, the practice, has been perfect by Kingzone.
Just ridiculous. And we're talking up Khan here like he's the best in-form player at the moment in the world. But he's only second as far as the KDA is concerned. He's even with Gorilla as well.
I believe including Spring here is a bit facetious, so we'll call it 5-4 for
Okay.
KT Rolster. Still ahead. We include the Casper Cup that was broadcast by OGN, so that's why it's part of our reality. That was with Kingzone with no experience. Remember, only a few days before the Casper Cup did Peanut join the lineup. They've been able to work out some of the kinks. Peanut has been integrating with his team far better than before. Not many criticisms to lay at the feet of Kingzone DragonX. This is such a super hype matchup. Going to be so exciting. 8.2 as well. They may have had one 70-minute stall fest, but also both these teams can close pretty quickly. Look at some of the key points between the two. You'll see that when it comes to stats, they're top 3 in everything and top 2 in goal difference at 10.
Yeah, these are the teams that move fast. So thankfully, after our marathon of a first series, this one could be a faster one, but I have a feeling we're going to 3 games here, Papa Smithy, because it's going to go fast, but it could go fast in either direction.
And you think that after that first series, I would be like, yes, please, a short series. No, I want this one to go forever.
Oh, hell yeah, we need as many
I could
games
watch
as
as many best of 3s or best of 5s between KT and Kingzone with both teams in form that you could scram. I could absolutely keep stacking them up and watching them because it should be a fantastic game. And whatever the result, if Kingzone wipe KT on the floor and win 2-0, it means that they are the best team in the world by a country mile. If KT pull off the upset, maybe their fans can get excited. And if it goes to 3 and has all the twists and turns of the 2017 Telecom Wars, well then, baby, we're in for a treat because we get another one of these in the second half of the season.
Yeah, KT's got their work cut out for them, really, as far as like hype tradition matchups.
You know who else has his work cut up for him? It's Smeb, who may have been the best top laner in the world for 2.5 years, but from summer last season, people said, what about Khan? And other people said, well, what about the carry? He's only been doing it for a short time. Lately, Khan has looked on a different level to basically every player in the world. You asked me about how good FLICKR is. FLICKR is the best player in the world. Khan is in the best form of anyone in the world right now. He has been unbelievable, leading so many different stats. How will Smeb be able to counter him? Smeb is uniquely talented. As we see a lot of smiles here, the Khan champ. Smeb is uniquely talented at being able to play carries and tanks, both sides of matchups, equally well. I would say no one else in the world can do it as well as he. The problem is that Khan is the best at playing carries in the world. And do KT Rolster need to counterpick Khan 3 games in a row in order to win?
Yeah, and are we going to see Smeb on something like a role player like the Maokai because he's picked up the shot calling role? He doesn't necessarily want to have some crazy times and, a mechanics battle on the top side. He wants to be organizing the rest of his team.
So what did the fans have to say? Korean fans on Facebook, what do you say? Kingzone should come in favorites, you'd imagine. It's not by that much, but it is 2/3 to Kingzone DragonX, showing that their fans are in full voice. KT Rolster at a measly 33%. I have a feeling that KT Rolster will not roll over and die, but whatever the result, we will learn something about the state of the LCK. We're battling for first. Whoever the winner is going to have a huge psychological edge going into the end of the first round robin. Again, we're still on the entree. We had an amazing first series full of different fiesta moments. Now we have the second series that people have been waiting for. Thank you, everyone. We've waited to 1 hour, 10 minutes after scheduled start. KT Rolster versus Kingzone DragonX. There's no more to tell you about. We now want to tell you all about what's really happening.
Yeah, we need to get into Champion Select as soon as we possibly can. Mata on the screen right now. Of course, these bottom lanes clashing yet again. You can see Praying Gorilla on your screen, Deft and Mata. These are bottom lanes that just date back so long. There is so much pedigree, and there's also so much that's changed over the patch as well. First time we're seeing these guys on 8.2. I want the Jinx. I don't necessarily care about double relic shields. I want it to be popping off down there, Papa Smithy.
It's going to be popping off somewhere, that's for sure. This is not going to be a stale, drawn-out series. Both these teams can take a lead and close a game. Kingzone and DragonX versus KT Rolster. KT begin on the blue side. The action begins right now.
Oh, yes. Here we are, Champion Select, guys. Game number 1 between KT and Kingzone. Rise will be the first ban. A bit predictable, given the fact that BDD and Pawn are fantastic Rise players.
Might just see it first banned on blue side every game.
Yeah,
it feels like Rise on this patch, before we see the change on patch 8.3, where it can no longer stopwatch ultimate, is a bridge to VAR, and Kingzone are so good. Both these teams, fantastic at rotating around with the Realm Warp, so will be denied. Kingzone taking a very long time to lock in their first ban. They will answer the Kalista. Does allow Deft and Marta to do a lot of work, and my read is if KT win, I believe it's actually through bot side, which sounds like sacrilege. Frey and Gorilla are super reliable, but Kingzone and Longzhu have never played through bot lane. Deft and Marta are exquisite laners. Finding a way to actually unlock Deft and Marta on the map is probably how KT want to go. It's a sort of series where Kalista Thresh could have been their lock-in even out of meta, just to try to be playmakers. Speaking of metas, Zion Rakan could also be heavily considered by both sides. You want to take them both in the same rotation if you can. Kha'Zix's ban is a very intriguing one because Score historically has been great. This season has been poor on the Kha'Zix, the Jace ban, no surprise.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to raise an eyebrow at that one. But it does mean that Galio goes through, and Kingzone, do they just ban it away or take something else instead? The
They
Azir
can take the Azir into Galio, like you mentioned. So they can kind of influence the draft here, but allowing Galio to influence top lane puts question marks on Khan, right? If he wants to play up, he's going to have to deal with the potential Galio rotation, but it's time to start playing with fire. There are no 3 bans that answer either KT Rolster or Kingzone. They are so deep in champion pool. Do we see a first pick Galio? My instinct is no.
Or do you see a first pick Jarvan and then potentially get that Jarvan-Galio combo that's so incredibly coveted?
So Kingzone actually
no, it's not happening.
Leave the Galio open, KT take it. I would have thought maybe KT would consider waiting, but then you give up Galio Sejuani, so take back what I say. Denying away potential Wombo can be smart. Does mean that Galio Jarvan, the combo that did in KSV so easily for Kongdom Monster, is left up. And even though it's 8.2, notice that Ezreal is still prized as a first-round AD carry with only Kalista and Varus removed.
And remember, we actually, today we had a day with Prey, Deft, and Bang all playing League of Legends. And they're probably the 3 best Ezreals.
Of all time, yeah. I would definitely say that.
Wei Zhao might have something to say, but that's a long, long time ago.
On the side of KT Rolster, Gnar is usually seen as one of the prized top laners, but Camille would be a flex pick, so they can flex Camille. Score could take it into the jungle, and it also does minimize the champion pool here for Kingzone. Now, Kingzone, of course, can just outlast. They can last pick for top lane, try to guarantee a great matchup, and Khan can Riven and do nasty things with many counter picks. So I do love the ambiguity of the Camille, but they might just be going full reveal here for KT, saying we know what we want. We want some Wombo, Galio, and the Hextech Ultimatum riding on top of a Cannon Barrage now available. Does Kingzone take Riven here? Because if you're KT, maybe you just ban it before the second round.
I get so scared thinking of teams blind picking Gangplank into Khan.
Now, Khan right now saying that he doesn't want to go into a super hard counter matchup. He thought about the Gnar. He now is looking over the Vladimir, which is also seen very commonly into the Gangplank. Will be his first game of the season on Vladimir. First career game in Korea, I believe, on the Vladimir. Expected to be top, but could also be flexed into the mid lane and have a farm lane with the Galio. So there still could be the Riven. And not off the hook yet are KT Rolster, as the Vladimir flex pick is right up there when it comes to ambiguity. You will see
Kingzone, they've been listening.
Yeah, Rakan ban will come through to deny Zaya Rakan on the blue side. Bot lane has been a second round draft very commonly on patch 8.2. It's been a new thing. Speaking a bit with Gorilla about what he makes of patch 8.2, and he said, the thing that KSV is struggling, the ambiguity of, well, we thought we had a winning lane, but then they switched to teleport, take double unsealed spellbook, and that being influencing the game after picks and bans, where you don't know, you don't have it revealed what runes the enemy took, is an extra variable to consider, and it's a thing that Kingzone here going to have to think through. Ezreal very safe, so you're open to a lot of different support picks.
Does KT ban Corki next? Looking at this draft, could be an option to make sure that Pawn's life is as good as possible. Tahm Kench away from Marta, but he's still got so many other options. Braum probably picked up here by Gorilla as we throw it over to him, so the Alistar will be there for Marta if he wants it.
5-0 on the Braum, been very reliable for him. Right now, not a lot of value on Braum against what's drafted by KT. But will allow for some target acquisition. And you're right, Azir Corki, the two most common counter picks into the Galio, will be locked in. To be denied from the side of KT. So Alistar just locked in, so a bit more engaged for the Vladimir to potentially have backline access. Alistar and the Sejuani for a Vladimir to potentially roll over. A lot of damage from the side of Kingzone. AT have a pretty balanced draft so far. They've telegraphed where their champs are going. Now they're just looking for a bot lane. The Jinx is going to be hovered.
Deft. Just do it.
I said Jinx and the Galio is a wonderful duo. Will they pull it off here? Hyper carry with the Galio makes a lot of sense. Hyper carry is what I mentioned. The Twitch is an old favorite for Deft. Even more famous than his old Jinx, as we're just playing with fans' hearts with every one of these hovers.
I actually sort of stopped breathing, you know, while the Jinx is being hovered.
The Kog'Maw would be the most reliable.
Yep. Caitlyn is certainly high win rate, though, for Deft. Feels like when he gets his hands on this champion, KT just knows what to do.
It's very respectful also. It does pigeonhole them on lane control. Very hard to counterpick Ezreal, Alistar when it comes to actual kill pressure, but it's going to be the Braum and Caitlyn for lane control. Looking for an answer into the Galio. Looks like it will be, in fact, a Vladimir top to try to burst through the Gangplank. So a lot of attention expected on the top side for Kingzone. And Taliyah is going to be clearing waves and having a follow-up global as well. KT have so many options when they rotate around the map. Caitlyn, Braum will be pushing in bot side, and a Camille can ride in with a Galio ultimate and a cannon barrage. So surviving that sort of onslaught is so difficult for the side of KT. But while all that is being set up, Kingzone just want to bust through the Gangplank, and hey, if he's ulting from the fountain, denied from CS, they'll be happy with that. Yeah. Very interesting drafts here. Mid lane control also will be, on the paper, very comfortable for the Galio, but you can also pressure the Galio early, and Galios these days have to itemize into more damage rather than pure magic resist. A lot of headaches here. Very interesting drafts between these two. Not necessarily what I would have expected pre-tournament or pre-series, but when it comes to KT Rolster especially, it looked like their draft was set up for a hyper carry. Instead, they said, we can't take hyper carries because games don't go long against Kingzone. We need the Caitlyn for lane control.
Yeah, and Khan is actually going to have a scale off once again. We know that this guy doesn't need to play fast and loose. He doesn't rely on getting those sort of leads early, but a different story. Had an opportunity to potentially go Riven again into Smeb if you wanted to, but not going to be doing that. And I think the bottom lane is really, really curious as well, because you said attack the bottom lane of Kingzone could be an opportunity for KT to get ahead, but there is mammoth amounts of comfort coming out of this Kingzone bottom lane. I don't think there's any way they're going to be movable.
Well, this is the comfort food everyone wants to sample. Kingzone, DragonX versus KT Rolster. So much to discuss. We'll leave that for in-game.
Yep, let's do it. Game number 1, Kingzone versus KT Rolster. Let's do it. It's a bigger Kingzone cheer that we heard the first time they changed their name and head into Soli Stadium. KT still with voices too.
But the fan group only gets bigger for Kingzone DragonX. KT Rolster, the long-suffering fans, feeling like this might be their year. And while the matchup looks awkward, star of weekly LCK, the program that airs on Saturday nights after the matches are over, only on the Korean stream, unfortunately. With KT Rolster, it's very interesting to talk about because as a team, they're one of the few teams that have a lineup that can stand up to the stars on the side of Kingzone. KT Rolster do have a strong top side of the map. Smeb doesn't often need babysitting and sometimes just locks in Maokai and kind of deals with tough matchups. It's through the jungle that we've seen this matchup through so many different teams, right? Score versus Peanut has been Rox Tigers versus KT and SKT versus KT, and now having a pause will give you more information there. It sounds like an audio issue, an old favorite.
Oh, don't talk about it though, Pop Smithy. Remember, it's contagious.
It is airborne from what we've learned. But historically, Score has had one over Peanut. That has been the big thing that has separated these two teams or these two squads when they've come together. So if they can actually have Smeb be as resilient as he usually is, and there's a way to bust through, if you score. If he can do some battle warding on the battle ward himself, Peanut. And that will be very interesting, as I think we got an update there, Atlas.
Yeah, it was Smeb actually having the audio issue. A bit of a ringing in his ears. Not sure whether he's recently been punched, but I assume probably not.
He'll find out when he gets slain to Khan, and then maybe you have to pause again.
He made a missed call for the level 1, so score actually reached over. Thankfully, Smeb didn't actually know that he got punched.
So many hype matchups here. Mid lane matchup. Pawn, who has been largely good, would say that he was beaten soundly by FLICKR, even if they won that series. And BDD, who has been on a different level since Casper Cup, where he was really able to flex on his Azir most famously.
Flying under the radar a bit is BDD, just because the rest of the map just looks so damn good. There's Peanut stepping up as far as, improvement. I think Peanut is ahead of him, but BDD has just stayed good for the last, year in the beginning of this
I think it's very difficult to really judge exactly how high BDD should be based on 2017 because he was playing, Orianna Galio every game, and it wasn't about BDD. I think based on Casper Cup and subsequently, he took it to the next level, looked a lot more comfortable playing Azir, actually playing high damage champions and influencing fights on his own. But the rankings here, you have FLICKR and BDD at the top, but exactly how high BDD is on the ranking is still evolving. Still young when it comes to playing competitive. Had, of course, the failed stint on CJ. Great season last year, but now really defining himself as a primary carry on his own. It can't always be Khan, and this season, Kingzone showing that they can put Khan on the losing end of matchups and still close out games surprisingly early, gives them a whole new kind of side of the coin. He's been playing the Gangplank, he's been taking losing matchups, and they're still winning, which means they have a multitude of strategies rather than just cuz camps from Khan, and we win from there.
Yeah, and we are resolved now as far as the audio issue for Smeb. I'm glad you spoke about the versatility, the newfound versatility that Kingzone have, because when they're in their old form of Longzhu, they were an incredible team to watch play. They had their style, and they did it every time, but it worked every time, right?
Yep.
But what we've seen from them now is complete change-ups of that style that was perfected, but also very, very predictable.
And that style worked in Korea, but do recall they played one best-of-5. They finished the regular season first, and then just beat SKT. They hit Worlds, Samsung had them figured out, and they lost 3-0. Yeah. So I think having multiple styles for Worlds especially, where you have to win a minimum of 3 best-of-5s, is very important for the side of Kingzone. So like you say, having Khan on losing side of matchups and winning is big for Kingzone DragonX.
A bit of a shove in here in the Kingzone bottom lane.
Level 1, Ezreal's very, very powerful because he just Qs the minion wave, it keeps his attack speed up, and can actually have lane control, but it will evolve to be very, very comfortable for Caitlyn and Braum. Deft's not messing around either. Do notice he's gone fleet footwork, not any unsealed spellbook shenanigans. He's all about doubling down on lane control.
No funny business. Double electrocute coming out from KT as well, meaning that even though the zombie wards have been nerfed, there will still be a whole bunch of them being put on the map. I actually love this from new Galio that has been decided to go more of that bursty route.
No spellbook on KT.
Yeah, not
Kind
one.
of notable. We usually see at least one, but Marta's going for Guardian for lane. Guardian was changed a little bit. More reliability in the late game. Not as powerful early game. Has a longer cooldown than it did before.
Only one spellbook, actually, in this whole game.
Crazy.
Yeah.
The play-by-play is buffed. He's going to be able to track the action.
I know who's teleporting now!
It's not Carney, is it?
It's Smeb and Pawn.
We got to see him play Riven, where he changed to teleport once just to get back to lane, and then stuck with Ignite the rest of the game. That was great.
That was a game. Wonder if Khan's going to be picking up any more pentakills. Of course, the Vladimir does have opportunities to do that.
Some people will be surprised to see Smeb rocking the Relic Shield as the starting item. This is basically to proc the Bandit. Basically, every time you have Q off cooldown around that, you can get the 10 gold from parlaying the enemy Vladimir. So just to stay competitive in terms of the gold generation. You often don't even upgrade it to Targon. It's not about the wards that you could get for 500 gold. It's just purely as gold generation. A safer cull, if you think about it, is the decision
bit more
there.
of an investment.
But notice that Smeb did not go the Keen route of going Grasp of the Undying, going very heavy on the Resolve tree. It's going to rely on the flat magic resist, and I imagine Second Wind with the Resolve second, which does mean that Khan, if you follow the matchup, historically it's very Vladimir favored. He doesn't have extra sustain. Will he have to go Spectre's Cowl early? Because if you just straight up disrespect in both your rune and your itemization, you're just going to die.
Yeah. Actually not sure what the thinking is there for Smeb because it worked so well for Keen. He's going to go back now, at least refill that mana bar. See whether it's going to be about Score finding his way towards the top side, trying to get a gank. Now to the Vlad.
One reason he can be a bit more disrespectful is there is, of course, the Galio in the game, so the threat of the turret dive is lower. Get him low enough, then potentially with Flash, Ignite, and the ability to go into the troll pool, you can still pick up kills, but every risky lane gets less risky when you have Galio rotating first with his ultimate. So the safety that Galio provides when his ult is available, and also the threat it provides for the bot lane on a dive, being so unknown when it comes to the Galio, does mean there's a lot of value here, and it does allow a bit of space. Now, enough space to go Klepto and also skip up a magic resist? Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm feeling like you're probably right there. Might need to respect, but does need, of course, the Sheen first. Get that extra damage.
Can't as happily go into GP10 as on patch 8.2. The quest line for the supports no longer gives him the extra movement speed he craved on the Qs in particular.
Claim.
So probably going to have to be Proto Belt here, I would imagine, coming through from Khan.
Looks like it. Probably doesn't want to rush a Spirit Visage. Item number 1. Up against a Gangplank. ADD still shoving the wave in onto Pawn. Winds of War is going to level up in power though. So the Galio will be absolutely fine clearing out minion waves. Bot side, things very even. Ultra comfort for both of our bottom laners.
KT really want to have control over the Infernal. This game they will have a Galio and also the Cannon Barrage, and even if Khan switches to Teleport, early game Vladimir is not going to have as much impact.
Well, there's the headbutt Pulv. Real actually gets the Aftershock, and a little bit of extra with the stun, but Deft is going to be okay. Level head, keeps the flash, everything's fine.
I want to see KT make very proactive moves around the Drake, get the Infernal, have the next one spawn. I need a couple of shops to do it safely, as right now the Caitlyn is chunked out, but my read on where the comps are strong is that KT have more of an advantage around the level 6 when the ults are first available, and they need to take advantage of it.
Well, see Deft actually just waiting out of vision to make sure that he can pick up this minion wave before he inevitably goes back. Prey also doing the same thing. You see they were really keen to get him back home by that tier. Probably has enough for Sheen at the same time, and he does. So 65 to 61, but now we've got an Ezreal walking back to the lane. Deft, BF Sword should be there as well, and we'll see whether he can afford anything else. Cheeky Dagger, the classic Deft build. We'll probably go into his Zeal item, might get a cheeky pickaxe. Just try and mow down turrets as best he can.
Yeah, no ambiguity about the strategies here. I imagine BF Sword into Static Shiv into pushing. As KT want to keep the pressure on, you never want to go into ultra late game with the Galio, even if he builds more damage now than he did in the past. They still do have late game options, not like the game is decided if they're not 10,000 gold ahead at 30 minutes, but reliability here, I would say, is strongest during the mid game, where KT will have a lot of power. As for Kingzone, Vladimir's unlimited scaling and their ability to just use the Weaver's Wall to take objectives as the game goes on is a big story to talk about with Kingzone. Still waiting for that first Hero's Entrance or Weaver's Wall as Score is spotted.
Yep, he's spotted, but he's still going to go in. Cannon Barrage comes down, double Hemoplate Khan. He's going to get a lot of his health back after this one comes down. They're respecting the Crimson Rush. Look at that. They knew that they were going to cop too much damage, and Smeb's just bought a little bit of space.
Also, Taliyah was able to cheat to the top side. There's no defensive vision for KT there, and they did not know if the Weaver's Wall would come in for a slick double kill against the flow of play. So they pull away. All they get out of it is the ult. Not even a flash or ignite from Khan, so no real punishment onto the Vladimir.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. Still, that Hemoplague being down is good news for Smeb, means there's going to be no diving underneath the turret. Deft shrugs off the True Shot Barrage. Amazing that Prey is still able to command so much control over this lane when so much damage was taken off that Q. Oh, fly forward, but Gorilla gathers that one.
KT really needs to cement vision on one side of the mid lane. Right now, it feels like Taliyah can make the unexpected play top and bot side, whereas the side of KT, there is at least a bit of vision on the left side here for Kingzone. Just trying to threaten Pawn, but easier said than done against Catalyst Galio.
Yeah, he's not too bothered by the little pebbles being thrown forward.
Now the wards say that Kingzone want to play bot side, very predictable, want to double down on the Weaver's Wall for a bot lane gank, and KT have the options top side. So while it's not quite vertical jungling, you do get a bit of transparency into what these teams want to make happen.
You can certainly see that Score wants to make a mid lane gank happen. One's just shoving the waves forward though, and so much vision available for Kingzone on the bottom side of the map, understanding exactly where KT want to play through. They just make sure that they have all of the eyes everywhere. And Peanut, it's exactly what you talk about every single time. Battle warding like a pro. And they're safe. Not going to be able to get pawned down there with the heroic entrance if anything does go awry.
Safety is happy times for Kingzone. Khan continues to farm up. The bot lane turret isn't being trained down by Caitlyn and Braum, and the threat of a Galio coming in, and the laning phase extended. Both teams going to opt into it. The Gangplank can still do a lot of work as we go on, and Caitlyn at 6 items still pretty fearsome. Things going better than expected, I would say, for Kingzone in the early game, and Score not being able to find any ganks on the Camille.
Khan is just taking so much control. Hemoplague back up again. Smeb needing to respect it. Probably wants to go back and grab Trinity Force relatively soon. Speaking of going back, Prey also looking for an opportunity.
That's why I'm surprised KT have been more proactive. They have so many globals, and Khan has Ignite, so he's just going for the lane. They need to make the plays on the map to justify the fact that Smeb cannot stand toe-to-toe against a Vladimir with Ignite. No surprise there, but the lack of map control by KT when they should be able to outnumber at almost any moment is kind of giving freebies to the side of Kingzone.
Yeah, Proto Belt's done, and Khan says, well, I'm just going to straight up kill you. So have fun. Thankfully, some Merc Treads have been picked up by Smeb. I don't know whether that is going to be quite enough to wrest some control back here in this lane. I think we have to go back to, what Keen was able to show us, Grasp of the Undying working out really, really well for the Gangplank. Might be a little bit of potentially disrespectful play from Smeb. They're not opt in for the more defensive option.
All that being said, I'm just waiting for KT to understand they outnumber in basically every scenario. Should be able to trade up on the bot side. Picking on the bot side, a bit of clearance here by BDD, who will be kept in mid lane.
Oh, Justice punches over. Good knock up onto BDD now as Score. He's going to get in, doesn't get the stun, actually gets it onto Peanut. Takes a little bit too long though, and first blood goes down to BDD. Fight's actually breaking off everywhere as there's Unbreakable Will. It's a double in the mid lane. What a botched gank to come out of KT. Deft trying to answer back. Deflect! Oh! Does have the stopwatch, but no! Gorilla survives! Thankfully, Marta does block the True Shot barrage, but that is a tilter for Deft.
There's no other way to say it. Gorilla was a master baiter in that particular bait. He baited out a flash and then also lived through all of it. Unbelievable stuff from Gorilla. And in the mid lane, Atlas, will see it in the replay, but Score went in for the first part of the hook shot. Didn't want to commit. Score didn't want to go in. Clearly, Pawn did. You expect better synergy from a mid laner and a jungler who have been together for a year, but they half-assed it, and it was turned around. 2 kills donated to Kingzone DragonX.
Yeah, and I think Score probably thought that he might be able to get on top of BDD, and that could have been a different circumstance if BDD was stunned and stopped from getting the threaded volleys out there, but he wasn't. And now he has a huge CS lead augmented by a kill and an assist in the mid lane. And BDD was always so good at Taliyah. Has only played it once so far this season. And Score, he wants to try it again. Does get the ultimatum down as there's heroic entrance. Stopwatch comes in, not a lot of damage to come out, but there's the flash. Cleanse comes in, knock-ups there, but BDD underneath this turret now. Stun comes in, Score's gonna lock down the kill, but that took a long time.
Yeah, big investment. They do get the kill after all of it. Thought BDD would join Khan with his dance moves, not enough to get him out from it. Very important that KT, with this draft, can keep up in tempo. These sort of plays need to be repeated again and again, because top lane, we can see very clearly the threat of the all-in under turret is always there from Khan. Ignite still being ridden. It may not be a Riven, but it's a Riven play style of trying to just crush lane.
Yeah, and Khan will now also be a teamfight god and be able to really cause a ruckus in the later stages of the game, a time where Riven doesn't really want to be doing much team fighting. Peanut steals away a blue buff all too easily, and Smeb a little bit too late with the ward timing as he heads down. Trinity Force will be available relatively soon, but that's not going to save him from Khan's damage.
Out of pain for Smeb in the top side. One turret shot not gonna equalize out these trades. Khan will continue to win them, and he's getting no help. The rest of the team is playing around mid and bot side, which is fine. That's the way you should play if you're KT Rolster. But if Smeb does die, not going into the Resolve tree, not buying an early Spectre's Cal, he kind of only has himself to blame. And so far his team haven't made up for how much power they have to react bot side, because they're actually losing 2v2s in the mid lane, something that should never happen.
Yeah. And I think Khan has actually got his proto belt bound to every single button, because it seems to go on cooldown every time it's off. It's going to be the first dragon, though, going over to King Zone very easily. Score. Finds Khan. This could be a difficult gank, though. A couple of people hit by a Hemo Plague means that he gets a whole bunch of health.
Still has the flash up, so really no reason for him to be there.
Timepiece there still as well, so no worries.
He does stick around for some Relic Shield procs, so that's nice at least.
Yeah, worth it.
And no threat onto Khan. Playing this all by his lonesome. It's opted into largely by KT Rolster. Khan playing the Vladimir and solo queue. There's never ambiguity. And if it does damage, Khan plays it, because we know that he does.
Execution is calling actually rushed here by Smeb. He wants to try and keep the parlays on Khan, stop him from healing himself up with the transfusions.
Basically the theory there is that if he can control the healing, the threat of the turret dive is less, but it does halt his own build. And so I think that Khan can play around easily, so I understand why. But it actually doing anything other than extending a turret dive, kind of the best case scenario for Smeb.
Yeah. Haunted Guy is completed for Khan, so going towards Leandri's Torment as item number 2. Something you would expect after Frost Queen's claim has been removed from the options that Vladimir has, thanks to 8.2. Deft has his Static Shiv. Berserker's Greaves there as well. We've mentioned his build of choice has been the same way for a long time on this Caitlyn, but he wants to be the one shoving forward. He wants to be the one getting damage on turrets, and honestly, that's what King Zone have been doing. Quan gets himself out of the way, but not out of the seismic shove. Ultimate flying forward as Gorilla and Prey, they're turning up. Winds of War, not going to mean BDD is able to get any further, and Peanut holds off the chase.
Yeah, first rotation from the mid lane is the reason Peanut went aggressive, but as we can see, Abyssal Mask being complete and Merc Treads meant no real threat onto the Galio. They all back away. Nice interrupt on the animation there.
Very cute. Hookshot. Not going to work out.
First time ever we're seeing score on the Camille, a favorite of other junglers. Been up and down, as we know, Atlas.
Yeah, another seismic shove. Good body block there by Peanut to stop Pawn from getting the work done. He's got so much magic resist, though, but it's not enough. Peanut locks down the kill in the end, and now King Zone will be able to get the first turret of the game as well. Finally, the dynamic duo able to lock down Pawn long enough to take down the turret.
And Peanut's just been more effective on his ganks than Score. That's really all you can say. Score has had one botch, and when he's been in position, been turned around more often than not. Peanut returns with no ultimate, but still, great link up between BD and Peanut. To me, Atlas, that was the last thing that was left for King Zone to prove, that BDD and Peanut could actually make plays together as a duo, because previously we've seen a bit of a desync between the two, on invades especially. This time, no ambiguity about that. It was clean. They take the top lane turret in the 1v1 as well, and King Zone now massively ahead. 4,500 gold and an Infernal Drake up over a Galio comp implies an even bigger lead than the scoreboard already shows.
Yeah, it's not what this composition wants to be doing on the side of KT, as Khan taking a lot of actually big damage from Smeb. Not going to get too much back with the Hemo Plague. Actually does. Thankfully, the Grievous Wounds did wear off.
Just Vladimir things there.
Yeah.
Score is maxing the hook shot, but haven't been convinced by his first game on the Camille. It's the big wild card this game, is debuting Camille, and obviously Blank had big struggles on this champion. We've seen up and down performances on the Camille, and not convinced by professional Camille, even if in solo queue it's definitely been working a treat.
Yeah. Sort of maybe hasn't been figured out as far as how to utilize it effectively.
I feel like any champion that goes Warrior Trinity Force already is ultra risky in competitive play, right? Because it's an expensive build and leaves you very vulnerable if you're counter ganked going for a full damage build. And then even when we see that completed a decent clip, is it worth it is a question I'm not 100% sure of. So that doubt being there makes me think that perhaps there are better choices. Prey and Gorilla dealing with all the traps in lane.
Yep. Cupcakes were a little bit too much for Gorilla. Needed to try one. Hex Drinker done for Smeb on the top side, so going for more of an offensive defensive option. We're thinking that perhaps the Spirit Visage would work out.
I'm grimacing a bit, Atlas, because consider the Gangplank build has been slowed by Merc Treads and Executioner's Calling and a Hex Drinker just to get through lane. He could have gone Resolve Tree, you'd think, and built more aggressively with just a Spectre's Cowl into full damage. So he's already behind in terms of damage. Pawn is not going for AP early, so he's also a facilitator for magic damage his team doesn't have, short of the ultimate from the Gangplank. And Deft is in a pushing build, so right now, it's a massive power trough for KT Rolster item-wise compared to what's already complete. BD's a god at 2 items, Vladimir's a god at 2 items. KT can't fight with a Galio comp that's made for fighting. And this draft is really putting them in a lose-lose scenario, barring some mistakes by Kingzone.
And they're supposed to be, you know, snowballing based on structures.
Yeah,
and
what
it's
is the
Kingzone
game? Yeah.
that is organically pushing them in and taking the maximum.
Yeah, what does the game look like for KT based on the draft? Because people are saying LoL won a draft for Kingzone. I think KT's draft is very powerful. They've shown they can play these comps many times against lesser opposition, and in the 2017 season, it's all about playing around the bot side against an Ignite Vladimir who can't go there. He doesn't have a teleport to get into the fight, thus you abuse them on the side of the map. Instead, they're trying to fight the Vladimir with Ghost Flash. Good luck.
Yeah. And he's got Ghost Flash and his ultimate. He might actually be able to kill both of them, potentially.
Under a turret, you definitely wouldn't rule it out. So controlling the bot side, pushing up, putting down a ward, the cannon barrage next to a structure. As Khan might die here.
Yeah, so might Smeb though. Casimo Plate comes down, Stopwatch is in there, gets a whole bunch of his health back, and yeah, you were robbed, Smeb. You were robbed, but it was all too easy to set up there from Khan. You're talking about masterful baiting earlier on Papa Smithy, and it happened once again.
KT Rolster. You wondered if the scouting report and their struggles against Rocks is a one-off and they could pick them up for this game. The answer so far is no. Kingzone going to come to contest the Infernal. Teleports are coming in.
Yeah, Flash Ultimatum comes down as well as the stopwatch is used to keep score alive. Prey gets out of there though. Triple knock-up from Gorilla, who's just creating the fight that he wants. Prey outplays everyone. Deft is dead. It's a double kill for BDD, and Kingzone are on the warpath.
Yeah, time to throw up the FF. This one's done for KT Rolster. There's no way back into the game. They're too far behind with a comp that needs to be at the front. They're going to lose an Infernal and Baron. Infernal Drake almost killing Deft straight up. He had heal and flash, but it wasn't going to get him out. But will he ever get a better spot than that? It's Baron time for Kingzone.
And Prey just, I swear, he gets better and better on this Ezreal. And he's always been an extraordinary Ezreal player, Papa Smithy. It's the finesse of the navigation as Smeb tries to get himself over. He's not going to be able to steal a Baron. He's probably going to die.
We've got 4 Rocks Tigers on the Rift, but 3 of them on one side. Clearly better than the 1 of them on KT Rolster. We're going to see the replay. Remember, this all happens when Kingzone are ahead in goal. Should never happen with the comp that was drafted by KT from behind. The Wombo starts, and KT, by the end of it, it's like, well, maybe we'll kill Prey and feel good about that. Doesn't happen. Able to get out of it. Auto onto Pawn, takes him out. Too easy. The Infernal killing Deft. The threaded volley. Overkill. Infernal. Baron. Everything. For Kingzone DragonX, they are now 8,000 gold ahead with double Infernal and some great scaling options. This one's done.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much done too. And they even let Marta just walk away from that fight as well on a sliver of health because they knew just go straight towards the Baron, shove down the rest of these lanes.
BDD and Globals.
Yeah.
Best friends forever. Hasn't had to do much this game, but the mistakes by KT around mid lane exacerbated already. A failure of execution in the early game by my read of the draft. I don't understand playing around topside with a Kleptomancy, no Resolve Tree, Gangplank, when you can just win where the Vladimir can't be. He still doesn't have teleport. Vladimir has no interest in playing around the bot side. He just wants to crush lane. They could have just had the cannon barrage be the start of some good news, but the good news is gone. Turns out printing press is dead.
Yeah.
And KT Rolster now just kind of talking about the next game and trying to lose the minimum. If you saw 2 catastrophic mistakes from Kingzone, maybe, but I don't know if we've seen 2 catastrophic mistakes in 10 wins in a row for Kingzone DragonX.
Yeah. Gorilla probably happy to dive most of these turrets as well. They've got Baroned up minions. You can see how far forward he's walking. It's Peanut that starts this one off though. Mata will have the help of the heroic entrance, but he's still taking a whole lot. Oh my god, how did you do that, Prey? Gets himself out of it. Pawn's not going to be able to find anything as Khan picks up the kill onto score. Pawn, he's in trouble as well. Good positioning from Prey in the backline, and Deft, he's going to get jumped on. Good flash gets him out, but will BDD find the threaded volley? No, gets slowed down. Marta trying to help out as much as he can, but BDD gets forward. Oh, pause at the wrong time here. You can see a lot of flashing red. I feel like this one's certainly working for KT. Sorry, for Kingzone.
Well,
it's an unfortunate pause timing.
Unsure what that one is about. We'll relay the information when Joel joins our Discord channel.
Yeah.
Right now, disconnected from that. KT are really hoping there was a game-breaking bug and maybe they can have a do-over.
Yeah, I feel like this is a remake? Question mark? Oh, but maybe the FF wasn't working. Have we got the early FF disabled on Tournament Realm? Perhaps
the last FF was so many years ago. And we have an audio issue for Smeb.
Smeb, voices in his head saying, we should get out of this game.
Go next, go next.
Run it up mid. Oh, we can't make it to mid. Oh, dear.
We have to laugh because KT have been just blasted in this game.
Absolutely.
The most annihilated by Kingzone DragonX. And you worry because, you know, you look at the run for Kingzone DragonX. The 2-0 over FLICKR, that's when Afrika, much earlier in the season, Afrika looks a lot stronger now, but
yes.
Still, they beat Afrika. The SKT series, one-sided. MVP Rox and Kongnu Monster, no surprises there, right? But if you had a 2-0 over KT Rolster, maybe the LCK is not hard enough for Kingzone DragonX. That'd be 12 wins in a row.
Yeah. We need to patch the LCK to try and get like an added difficulty level.
But where do we draw teams from?
I don't know.
Maybe NA? We just go all the way around the circle?
Oh, if we're doing that, wouldn't we go to OCE?
We could think about it.
Yeah. Oh, no. I don't think that would be good. That's a combo that I would probably prefer not to observe. You can see Smeb didn't have a whole lot of friends hanging around him there, so it might be that we are getting towards the end of it. And, oh, maybe it's not actually Smeb's issue, as Khan's the one sharing his headset around.
Maybe there's just white noise going on, so hopefully we can resolve this one, guys. At least it's not a game-breaking bug. That's
true, and it doesn't look contagious as well.
We're keeping it isolated.
We're isolated to the top lane.
We've had enough experience, you know. We don't let it go airborne anymore.
Yeah, aerosolized audio issues are the worst.
Now, KT Rolster can throw this one in the garbage. Say, well, that was game one. All right, we lost. You know, they can definitely try something new. First pick Galio, which was kind of offered up as tribute by Kingzone. I was like, maybe you don't reach for this. It seems a bit scary. They went for it, but their play around it almost seems like they weren't prepared for the Galio. It didn't feel like they were actually getting any value out of the Galio pick, and not like Kingzone had a home recipe strategy to answer it. They just turned on a poor gank attempt by Score and Pawn in the mid lane, and from there it was just kind of plain sailing for the side of KT Rolster. Didn't have a solution for the top lane. Vladimir didn't have a solution for falling behind in the mid. A lot of problems here for KT Rolster, so waiting to get back into the game. Hopefully it's going to be a short issue, guys. Audio issues usually aren't hour-long epics, but
we shouldn't be here for forever. But yeah, I'm looking back, Papa, and I just feel like the Sejuani would have been the optimal first pick. I mean, Score's 100% win rate on the champion. He's played it for a very, very long time. And Pino just looked so comfortable, and it also doesn't pigeonhole you into a composition from first pick.
I mean, here's what I'll say, is that then you give up the Galio, right? You probably see it locked in by Longzhu, or in this case, Kingzone DragonX.
Yeah.
They're very good at playing kind of the style I was talking about, right? Where it's like, well, what do we have that's strong? All right, let's play like this. Kingzone are very good. It feels like Kingzone are one of the most satisfying teams to cast, not from any personal affiliation or bias, but literally because when you look at what a comp is meant to do, you see Kingzone do it, or even do it better than you could ever have considered as an analyst. They're very clean at understanding what side of the map do we want to play on. Where are we strong? Where are we weak? How do we maximize our strength and minimize our weakness? That is a Kingzone DragonX game. So I would have said that giving over Galio is still a significant cost. So there's no real good decisions there. You're fighting fire with fire. Their execution with a power pick has been poor, and that's why when we get back to live, we're probably pretty close to just icing the game for Kingzone DragonX.
Yeah. Might be that KT are going to opt in to some sort of Galio ban in the game. Following this one, it should be coming up very, very soon, guys. The audio issue has been resolved. Gorilla there with his glorious new haircut. We should be back in. And the game should be moving towards its end as Deft pops. Welcome back, Deft.
Very depressing to be looking at the gray screen where there was a circle under you and you were definitely dead.
Yep.
We're watching Peanut, who might die after all of this. Not a perfect game for KT Rolster, but they have one kill so far.
Yeah, nicely done, KT. themselves out of the way of that one. I feel like Kingzone probably could have just killed some Nexus turrets there, but I guess it's 25 minutes into the game, and they want to go back and spend some of that massive amounts of money. 12,000 gold, the lead. Sonya's Hourglass picked up by BDD. Blade of the Ruin King, I believe, will be done. There it is for Prey. Might even be able to get a Last Whisper if he wants it. Not entirely sure, but let's have a look at this fight again. I
mean, diving anyone was strategy, which against Galio is usually an auto loss, but they just disengage from the start. Prey gets over the wall, because of course he does. Still had his flash up. They can re-engage. Gorilla's still tanking the turret, being a bro. From there, there's just such a sheer item advantage and 2 Infernals that just feels unfair. It's so easy for Kingzone to clear this all up. The pause happened just before the circle emerged. We paused right about. Let's wait for it now, and Deft was dead.
Yeah. That was a see or death moment, though, because he saw the seismic shove underneath him. Like, literally being served up on a platter in sepia mode.
Well, they're 11,000 gold behind, and the Gangplank, who's often the late-game win condition, has a Maw and a Trinity Force, so he's doing a lot of nothing.
I just don't think that we're going to see very much late game.
Nope. This game is seeming like the 32-minute dream if KT can delay. They do have summoners up on most of their members, so there's still a fight they can take here where they don't get completely wiped. They can outplay KT Rolster. See them pushing in, the delay of all the traps coming down. But no light at the end of the tunnel for KT Rolster, especially against a team as good as Kingzone. Khan will never switch over to teleport because he's not that kind of guy.
No, he wants to run real fast.
People are saying that teleport ruins the game, and Khan agrees and just doesn't take teleport.
In fact, Kingzone just don't take teleport. No teleports for anyone. Not even going to be doing that fancy free stuff on the bottom side of the map. Gorilla into that resolve, wants to be a bro.
You know what my most disappointing thing is here?
What?
Is they didn't even play to the Caitlyn draft. Like, why not go for Jinx if you're not going to gank bot lane and you're not going to do anything? Yeah. You might as well scale up and try to get a hyper carry going. The only way the Caitlyn Braum makes sense is if you want to actually pound the bot lane, take some turrets, and open up the map with Galio. That would have been great, but we never saw it. And now Smeb's walking up. Might just die.
Yeah, it does. He smashes down a bit of a barrel there. Eats some oranges out of the glacial prison, and he should be okay. At least until the game's over. Deft moving on out. Just trying to farm up, trying to get that second Zeal item.
How about a third Infernal?
Yeah, that sounds good. Very good. I see you like RNG.
Wasn't necessary in this game.
No, not quite. It's like, oh no, we're using up all of our good luck.
That's true. They didn't need any Infernals. We could have had a Drake bug out and not spawn. It would have been fine.
Yeah.
Again, game 2 can be a whole cloth change for KT Rolster. We're not going to talk about this game much more because it's the most over ever.
It's about as over as it can possibly be, and I just don't know why Kings
Who
are playing
wins,
with their food.
Vladimir or any three of KT Rolster?
Whoa.
You can choose your 3. Vladimir has always summoners up in the story.
Can I just say that I don't think that happens?
Okay.
Yeah. That's probably
But in the 5th, that's one way to go.
Yeah. Well, it's not the 5th, I just think that Khan wins out of any 3 KT at the moment.
Somehow the Kingzone, I guess you call it square now. We don't have a pentagon for them. They just overwhelm the OGN capability of producing a KDA graph.
Well, it's definitely at least a hexagon because it added an extra side because Khan bottomed it out.
And we did have to name the 1 hour break between series if Kingzone play the first series as the Kingzone period for the 1 hour the fans, or 1 year as they call it, the fans have to wait for the next game.
Yep.
On the upside, when it's the second match, it's just the end of the broadcast.
Exactly. It very much is.
Somehow it feels like the longest 29-minute game ever because we're waiting for the game 2 pick bans.
Well, like, and nothing's actually like happening anymore. It's Kingzone with complete oppressive control, only extending their lead, 14,000. They're going to go back to the Baron. They're going to pick that one up and probably win. Is, I guess, how it works. You can't really blame them for taking it slow, playing it textbook.
But you can also throw out the textbook. The textbook thing will be to wait for a bait, but they're so far ahead that Katie don't even dream of coming anywhere near the Baron.
Not even going to be able to get into scrying or brain.
Nope.
It's a sign of how this game has gone. Botched gank in the mid lane. Questionable keystone choice from Smeb, and just where the focus was just wasn't there. Unable to push out that bottom lane was just so important. We talk about the rest of the map as being where things went wrong, but it's unlike KT to not understand how to play this pure shove surprise team fight composition.
I feel like our observers,
this is exactly what they're good at.
I feel like our observer's really rude. He just showed that Deft only had 158 AD. As something to focus attention, like, look at this AD number.
Such a good AD. It's like golf, right?
Come on, he only has an Infinity Edge and 2 Zeal items.
Yeah.
I don't understand. That's savage observing, by the way. Thanks, OGN.
It's the beginning of the end for Deft.
Beginning of the end of the season, apparently. Gonna push in here. Kingzone trying to break the base in the second spot. Everyone's an assassin on the side of Kingzone.
Apart from BDD when he's facing down against Pawn, who at least does have a little bit of magic resist. Keep himself looking a little bit tanky.
Casual 2-level lead for Khan, level 18. Minus level 13. It's one of those games.
Crimson Rush comes out and Smeb has to be nowhere near Khan at all. Lest he be half health.
Base going to be broken in the second spot, either this minion wave or the next. He's just accidentally killing Deft just against the turret.
I just wanted to proc my shade.
No, he wants to keep his passive up to kill the turret. Let's get it right, please.
No, but he wanted to proc it, like he just wanted to shoot a Q sideways so he could hit the Sheen proc on the turret.
Smart.
Okay? Come on, man. But that's going to be the whole base destroyed. They can't even kill creeps. This is so sad. Smeb on the wrong side of the wall. Or is it the right side of the wall? I don't know.
The right side.
It sounds like the right side, actually. I take it all back. Baroned up creeps are going to mean that this is the first turret to fall down. Prey goes down to half health, doesn't care. Gorilla goes in for the pulverize. Decent little stopwatch to make sure that Mano doesn't take too much damage as Prey goes into his stopwatch as well. Of course, he had that the whole time. Pawn picks up one. As Smeb, he's going aggressive.
1v3.
Yep, Khan's going to be able to grab a whole bunch of these kills. That Tides of Blood did a bajillion damage, I'd say, approximately. And it doesn't seem to matter what happens. Gorilla is going to hoof the Nexus to death. And Kingzone DragonX continue their onslaught throughout the LCK. I honestly thought that was going to be a whole lot closer, Pop Smithy, but just felt like outplay on all fronts for Kingzone.
Yeah, 11 wins in a row, and even though the nameplate said KT Rolster, it could have been MVP, it could have been any team, they were obliterated by Kingzone DragonX. They continue to march on looking unstoppable. This game was over very early into the piece, as you could tell by all our attempts at stand-up comedy. Apologies, OGN Legion. We had very limited gameplay to work with. This one was super, super one-sided, but you see Smeb laughing. There's no reason to be crestfallen. Game was over so early that when you have these players, you say, let's go on to the next game. Let's try a different strategy. The Galio first pick, it didn't suit their draft. It didn't suit their playstyle. It didn't work.
No. Red side has seen a whole lot of extra success, though, recently. So we'll see whether it is going to be that sort of combo draft tactic that's going to work out well for KT Rolster as they move to other sides. Oh, Kingzone just look so extraordinarily good.
We're running out of adjectives, Atlas.
Yeah, I know. And actually, like, if you had a look at Gorilla in the booth just there earlier on, he was actually confused. He's like, oh, wait, it's over? Like, the game's done? Like, should we just go home now? Is anyone actually going to be enough of a challenge? I don't know, man. I feel like you're allowed to start getting a little bit cocky if you're Kingzone because it just doesn't look like there's any way to stop this team.
But if you're KT Rolster, you put down the white flag that was up since 5 minutes in the game, and you make it all happen in Game 2.
Yeah. So, guys, shortly we will have another quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to see whether KT Rolster can turn it all around after a disappointing game number 1. It'd be pretty incredible if the momentum is going to shift around, but we'll see after this short break.